If you've researched anything while trying to conceive, the algorithm has definitely noticed. And let's be honest, that's how you found this video. And now your feed is full of posts about must-have fertility supplements. Things like CoQ10, maca, ashwagandha, and so many different herbal blends with 20 different ingredients. The fertility supplement industry is massive. And for couples trying to conceive, supplements can feel like the obvious place to start. But I'm sorry to break it to you. Many of these popular supplements don't actually improve fertility. And couples often end up spending hundreds of dollars every month on products that aren't addressing the real issue. So today, we're going to break down 10 supplements that are commonly discussed in the fertility space. Some of them can absolutely support fertility when matched with the right underlying physiology, while others are heavily marketed for fertility but have very limited evidence, or they only apply in very specific situations. So instead of a simple yes or no list, we're going to look at when these supplements might be helpful and when they probably won't. I'm Dr. Cindy. My husband, Dr. Cody, and I are the doctors behind Fertility for Two. We help couples get pregnant naturally. We're both naturopathic doctors and acupuncturists, and our goal is to talk openly and honestly about fertility and the process of trying to conceive. One of the most common questions we get asked is, what supplements should we take to get pregnant? And while that's a good question, it shouldn't be the starting point, because fertility reflects healthy physiology. Different systems involving hormones, metabolism, inflammation, nutrient status, sperm development, and egg quality. All of them determine optimal fertility. Sure, supplements can support these systems, but they rarely fix the underlying issue by themselves. In the Fertility for Two program, we focus on identifying the root cause of your specific condition first and foremost, so we can create a clear plan to improve yours and your partner's fertility. Because there is no silver bullet that works for everyone every single time. One thing we see all the time is people trying supplement after supplement, hoping one of them will be the answer. So I'm curious, if you've tried a popular fertility supplement, what did you try? And did you notice a difference? Let me know in the comments. Now, let's start with some supplements that have strong clinical reasoning and extensive human research. Starting with CoQ10, or coenzyme Q10, which plays a critical role in mitochondrial function. Mitochondria are like the tiny energy producers inside of our cells. So sperm and eggs are reproductive cells, and they require enormous amounts of energy. Egg cells in particular are packed with mitochondria because they need to support early embryo development after fertilization. Sperm cells also depend on mitochondria because they need a tremendous amount of energy to swim through the reproductive tract and reach the egg. But as we age, mitochondrial efficiency naturally declines, and that decline is associated with poorer egg quality and reduced sperm performance. CoQ10 supports mitochondrial energy production and also acts as an antioxidant within the cell. In men, the research has shown that CoQ10 supplementation can improve sperm motility and sometimes sperm concentration. In women, some studies suggest it may improve egg quality and ovarian response. It's not a magic solution, but the biological reasoning behind it is strong. Now, the next supplement worth discussing is omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fats influence several systems that matter for fertility. They help to regulate inflammation, they influence cell membrane structure, and they play an important role in hormone signaling and blood flow. In men, omega-3s get incorporated into sperm cell membrane, which can influence how well sperm swim and how resilient they are. Some studies have linked higher omega-3 intake with improved sperm parameters. In women, omega-3s may support ovarian function and improve blood flow to the ovaries and uterus. They also help regulate inflammatory signals, which can be relevant in conditions like PCOS and endometriosis. The most important point here is that supplements don't fix fertility by themselves. They only help when they match the underlying issue. And myo-inositol is the perfect example of this. Myo-inositol is a carbohydrate, and it has supportive evidence in women with PCOS. PCOS is commonly associated with insulin resistance, which influences hormone signaling and can interfere with ovulation. Myo-inositol improves insulin sensitivity and helps to regulate signaling pathways involved in ovulation. Clinical trials have shown that supplementing with myo-inositol can improve ovulation rates in women with PCOS and improves pregnancy rates. In women with subclinical hypothyroidism or autoimmune thyroid disease, myo-inositol has been shown to increase cellular responsiveness. So when the brain sends TSH, the thyroid cells receives it clearly and responds more effectively. Overall, myo-inositol can be helpful with fertility, but in very specific cases. So again, this is not a silver bullet. That's exactly how we approach fertility in the Fertility for Two program, by identifying the real physiological drivers so you're not just guessing and hoping that a magic supplement will fix things. If you've been trying to conceive and want a clear plan to evaluate the root cause of fertility for you and your partner, you can apply to work with us through the link below. All right, now let's talk about ashwagandha, an herb that's traditionally used in Ayurvedic medicine. Ashwagandha is often described as an adaptogen, meaning it helps the body adapt to stress. One of the reasons it comes up in fertility discussions is because stress can influence reproductive physiology. Chronic stress can raise cortisol levels, which can interfere with hormone signaling and reproductive function. In men, some studies have shown that ashwagandha supplementation can improve sperm count, sperm motility, and sperm volume. Some research also suggests that it may increase testosterone levels in men who are experiencing stress-related fertility issues. Ashwagandha may also reduce oxidative stress in reproductive tissues, which is important because oxidative damage can impair sperm function and DNA integrity. In women, the evidence is more limited, but ashwagandha supplementation significantly reduces stress and cortisol levels in adults, suggesting potentially an indirect benefit for hormone balance and reproductive function. So while ashwagandha is not a direct fertility treatment, its effects on stress physiology, hormone balance, and oxidative stress may indirectly support reproductive health. Moving on to one of my personal favorites, vitamin D. Vitamin D is often thought of as a vitamin, but it's actually a hormone because our bodies can make it when our skin is exposed to sunlight. We have vitamin D receptors throughout the reproductive system. That includes the ovaries, uterus, and sperm cells. Low vitamin D levels have been associated with poorer reproductive outcomes, and vitamin D deficiency is so common. Vitamin D plays important roles in hormone regulation, immune function, and inflammatory balance. All of these systems influence fertility. So correcting a deficiency can help restore normal physiology. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, which means it gets stored in the body instead of being eliminated through urine like many water-soluble vitamins. Because of that, it's possible to take too much. Even though vitamin D toxicity is quite rare, taking excessively high doses over long periods of time can cause problems in and of itself. So it's important to test vitamin D levels before supplementing, and then retest after a few months to make sure that levels are moving in the right direction. Another nutrient that's often discussed in fertility is zinc. Zinc is one of the most important micronutrients involved in male reproductive physiology. It plays important roles in testosterone production, sperm development, antioxidant defense, and DNA stability. Low zinc levels have been associated with reduced sperm count and impaired sperm motility. In women, zinc also supports cellular processes involved in egg development and hormone signaling. And the biggest improvements tend to occur when a deficiency is present and corrected. So, those are several supplements that can help support fertility when they're used appropriately and in the right context. The main point is that none of them work universally. The key is identifying when they actually apply, which is why working with a qualified professional before starting a new supplement is always the best approach. Now, let's take a look at a few supplements that are frequently marketed for fertility, but the evidence is a little more limited. First up is L-arginine, which is sometimes discussed for fertility because it helps the body produce nitric oxide, which improves blood flow. That sounds like a good thing, right? But there are a few concerns. Excess nitric oxide can increase oxidative stress, and sperm cells are particularly vulnerable to oxidative damage. Some research suggests high nitric oxide levels may impair sperm motility under certain conditions. L-arginine can also cause digestive symptoms like nausea or diarrhea in some people. It can also lower blood pressure and cause dizziness in higher doses. And in people prone to cold sores, having a high L-arginine intake may trigger herpes virus reactivation. This review here warns that excess L-arginine may harm IVF outcomes through the same mechanisms of increased nitric oxide, which can increase oxidative stress. So while the mechanism around blood flow sounds appealing, the evidence supporting L-arginine for fertility in humans is limited. So if you're currently taking L-arginine, just make sure that you do your due diligence or work with a professional to determine if 1, it's the right supplement for you, and 2, if you're taking it in the right dose. Moving on to maca. Maca is very popular in fertility supplement blends. It's often marketed as a hormone balancing herb that can improve fertility. But when you actually look at the research, the strongest evidence for maca isn't in fertility, it's in libido. Several small human studies have shown that maca can increase sexual desire in both men and women. And of course, when sexual desire and intercourse frequency increases, people think that this means higher chances of conceiving. However, those same studies generally show no significant changes in reproductive hormones like testosterone, estrogen, LH, or FSH. Now, there are small human trials that show maca can moderately improve sperm concentration and/or motility in some men, but those effects are inconsistent. In other words, maca root may influence sexual desire and energy levels and improve some sperm parameters depending on the dose, but there isn't enough strong data. That doesn't mean it's not a good supplement. It's just not a fertility cure-all. Maybe larger studies will come out in the future to give us a clearer answer. The next supplement we'll talk about is vitamin B7, or biotin. Biotin sometimes shows up in fertility supplements, but usually not because it directly improves fertility. Biotin plays a role in energy metabolism and glucose regulation. Because metabolism influences reproductive health, some people assume biotin might support fertility. But the evidence showing improvements in ovulation, sperm production, or pregnancy rates is limited. Biotin often shows up in hair, skin, and nail formulas. Many postpartum moms take these supplements because hair shedding after pregnancy is very common, and they're hoping to support hair growth. The issue is that many of these products contain high doses of biotin, and some of these postpartum moms may be trying to conceive again. So it's worth knowing that biotin doesn't directly influence ovulation, egg quality, or fertility physiology. However, one of the biggest practical problems is that high doses of biotin can interfere with several lab tests that are commonly used in fertility evaluations. That includes tests like TSH, LH, FSH, estradiol, and even some pregnancy tests. So while biotin itself isn't generally harmful for fertility, large doses can make fertility labs harder to interpret. And because of that, many clinicians recommend stopping high-dose biotin a couple of days before getting hormone testing done. There's also some animal research suggesting that extremely high levels of biotin can impair sperm production in male rats and disrupt ovarian function in female rats. Biotin is a water-soluble vitamin, which means the body can eliminate some excess through urine. Even though the body can clear some of it, very high supplemental doses can still create issues. Finally, let's talk about proprietary fertility blends. These are supplements that contain many different ingredients combined into a proprietary formula. The problem with these blends is that the exact ingredient doses are often unclear. That makes it difficult to determine whether the supplement contains effective amounts of each ingredient, but it also makes it impossible to identify what's actually helping. In many cases, these blends are driven by marketing more than physiology. And this brings us to a bigger point. The biggest mistake couples make when trying to conceive is assuming supplements will fix their fertility problems. However, fertility challenges are often connected to a deeper physiological system. Things like metabolic health, hormone signaling, sperm DNA integrity, inflammation, nutrient status, blood flow, and immune function. Supplements, like I said, can support these systems, but they rarely solve them on their own. And neither can medications or hormone replacement therapy. In the Fertility for Two program, we don't start with a supplement list. We start by looking at the complete picture of your health and your partner's health. Once we understand what's happening physiologically, supplements can become very useful tools. But they're just tools that support a plan, not substitutes for one. If you're ready for a structured fertility plan so you can stop guessing and hoping a supplement will improve your chances, you can apply to work with us through the link below. Because fertility isn't just about getting pregnant. It's about building the healthiest possible foundation for the next generation. From our family to yours, have a fertile day.